Captain Cale Morvan stared at the screen in front of him. The numbers did not make sense. His ship, the Starlight Beacon, had been flying through space for 3 months. They were looking for new planets to mine. The Zephyrian Federation always needed more crystals for their ships. "Captain, we are getting strange readings," said his first officer, Zara. Her crystal skin glowed blue when she was worried. Right now, it was very blue. Cale looked at the data again. Something big was out there. Something that should not exist. The Omega Nebula was a forbidden place. No ships were allowed to go there. The Federation had rules about it. Very strict. "Rules. Show me the readings," Cale said. The main screen lit up. It showed a map of space around them. In the center was a red dot. The dot was moving. It was moving toward them. "What is it?" asked Zara. "I do not know," Cale replied. "But it is big, very big." The ship's computer made a beeping sound. New information appeared on the screen. The object was not just big. It was huge. Bigger than any ship they had ever seen. Bigger than their largest space stations. "Captain," sighed Nix, the ship's engineer. Nix was from the Nexus Collective. He was half machine, half organic. "The energy readings are off the charts. This thing has power we have never seen before." Cale felt his hearts beating faster. The Zephyrians had 2 hearts. Both were racing now. He knew they should turn around. They should report this to the Federation. But he was curious, very curious. "Take us closer," he ordered. "Sir, the regulations say we cannot enter the Omega Nebula," Zara reminded him. "I know what the regulations say," Cale snapped, "but this is important. Something is happening. Here, something the Federation needs to know about." The Starlight Beacon moved forward. The nebula was beautiful and terrible. Purple and black clouds swirled around them. Lightning crackled between the gas clouds. But they could see something else now. A shape in the distance. By the crystal. "Throne," whispered Zara. "What is that?" The shape was a ship, but it was unlike any ship they had ever seen. It was long and smooth. It looked almost alive. The hull was dark metal, but lights pulsed along its sides. The lights formed patterns that moved like waves. "How long is it?" Cale asked. Nix checked his instruments. 12 kilometers, Captain. Maybe more. 12 kilometers. That was impossible. No one built ships that big. The largest Federation ships were only 2 kilometers long. "Are there any life signs?" Cale asked. "Negative, Captain. But the ship is not dead. It has power. Lots of power." The strange ship was moving slowly through the nebula. It seemed to be looking for something. Or waiting for something. "Try to scan it," Cale ordered. Nix worked at his console. His mechanical fingers moved quickly over the controls. After a few minutes, he looked up. His organic eye was wide with confusion. "Captain, our scans cannot penetrate the hull." "It is. Like the ship is not really there. Or it is there, but in a different way." "What do you mean?" Cale asked. "I mean, our instruments say the ship exists. But they also say it does not exist. It is like it is in 2 places at once." Cale had heard of such things in the old stories. Ships that could move between dimensions. But those were just myths. Stories. Told to young crystal children. "Captain," Zara said softly. "Look at the symbols on the hull." Cale looked. The pulsing lights were not random. They formed symbols. Writing. But not any writing he recognized. The symbols were beautiful and complex. They seemed to move and change as he watched them. "Computer, search the database for these symbols," Cale ordered. The computer worked for several minutes. Then it spoke in its flat, mechanical voice. "Symbols match ancient records. Origin, species designation human, last recorded contact. 20,000 years ago. Status: extinct. The bridge went silent. Everyone knew the stories about humans. They were legends, myths, the first species to discover faster-than-light travel, the ones who had built the first star maps. But they had vanished long ago, before the Federation was even formed. "That cannot be right," Zara said. "Humans are extinct. Everyone knows that." "The computer does not lie," Nix said. "But this is impossible. If humans died out 20,000 years ago, how can their ship be here?" Kale stared at the massive ship. It was definitely real. It was definitely here. And it was definitely not from any species they knew. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission." "From where?" Kale asked. "From the ship, sir." That was impossible. The ship showed no life signs, no active communication systems. But the transmission was coming through clearly. "Put it on speaker," Kale ordered. The bridge filled with static. Then, slowly, a voice emerged. It was speaking in the old trade language, the language all species had used before the Federation was formed. "Unknown vessel, you are in restricted space. State your purpose." Kale felt his crystal skin grow cold. The voice was calm, professional, but there was something else in it, something that made him afraid. "This is Captain Kale Morven of the Starlight Beacon," he replied. "We are on a mining survey mission. We detected your ship and came to investigate." There was a long pause. Then the voice spoke again. "Captain Morven, you and your crew are in great danger. The nebula is not safe. You must leave immediately." "Who are you?" Kale asked. "What ship is this?" Another pause. Longer this time. "We are the Watchers. We have been waiting." For a very long time, the transmission ended. The bridge was silent, except for the hum of the ship's engines. "Captain," Nix said quietly, "the ship is changing course. It is heading toward us." Kale watched as the massive vessel turned in space. It moved like a living thing, smooth and graceful. As it came closer, he could see more details. The hull was covered in symbols, thousands of them, all pulsing with that strange light. "Should we run, Captain?" Zara asked. Kale thought about it. They could probably outrun the big ship. But something told him that running would be useless. If this ship really was from the humans, they would have technology beyond anything the Federation possessed. "No," he said finally. "We wait. We see what they want." The human ship stopped a few kilometers away. It was so big it blocked out the stars behind it. Then something amazing happened. A section of the hull opened up. Light poured out. And from that light, a smaller ship emerged. The smaller ship was sleek and beautiful. It looked like it was made of liquid metal. It flew toward the Starlight Beacon with impossible grace. "They want to come aboard," Nix reported. Kale nodded. "Let them." As the human shuttle approached, Kale wondered what he had gotten his crew into. The humans were supposed to be extinct, but here they were, alive, and they had been hiding in the Omega Nebula for 20,000 years. What had they been waiting for? And why had they chosen now to reveal themselves? The answers to those questions would change everything. For Kale, for his crew, and for the entire galaxy. The human shuttle docked with the Starlight Beacon without making a sound. Captain Kale Morven stood in the docking bay with his security team. His crystal skin was glowing bright blue. He was more nervous than he had ever been in his life. "Remember," he told his crew, "we know nothing about these beings. They could be dangerous." The shuttle's door opened with a soft hiss. Light poured out. 3 figures stepped into the docking bay. Kale gasped. They looked almost exactly like the pictures in the old history books, but different too. The first figure was tall and strong. He had dark hair and calm eyes. He wore a uniform that seemed to be made of living metal. It changed colors as he moved. "I am Commander Lisa Harper," the figure said. But the voice was wrong. It was a woman's voice, but it came from the man's mouth. Cale was confused. Then he realized what was happening. The humans were using some kind of translation device. It was changing not just their words, but their voices too. "I am Captain Cale." "Morven," he replied. Commander Harper smiled. "We know who you are, Captain. We have been watching your ship for some time." "Watching us?" Cale asked. "We watch everything that happens in this galaxy," said the second human. This one was smaller, with brown hair and kind eyes. "I am Dr. Amanda Wells. I study other species, like you." The third human stepped forward. He was young and alert. His eyes moved constantly, looking at everything. "Lieutenant Ryan Cross." He said, "I am here to protect the others." "Protect them from what?" Cale asked. "From anything that might hurt them," Ryan replied. His hand rested on a weapon that Cale did not recognize. Dr. Wells moved closer to Cale. She looked at his crystal skin with fascination. "Amazing," she said. "You are even more beautiful than our records suggested." "Your records?" Zara asked. "You have records of us?" "We have records of everyone," Commander Harper said. "We have been watching the galaxy for 20,000 years. We know about the Zephyrians, the Vorthic, the Nexus Collective. We know about all of you." Cale felt a chill run through his body. "But you are supposed to be extinct." "That is what we wanted everyone to believe," Commander Harper replied. "It was safer that way." "Safer for who?" Cale asked. "For everyone," Dr. Wells said. "Captain, we need to talk. There are things you need to know. Things the Federation needs to know." Cale led the humans to the ship's meeting room. The room was small, with crystal walls that glowed softly. The humans sat down carefully. They seemed fascinated by everything around them. "You live in a beautiful ship," Dr. Wells said. "We have studied Zephyrian technology for centuries, but seeing it in person is different." "Centuries?" Cale asked. "We have been watching you for a very long time," Commander Harper said. "Your people and all the others in the galaxy." "But why?" Cale asked. "Why hide? Why watch us?" Commander Harper and Dr. Wells looked at each other. Lieutenant Cross moved closer to the door. He was still watching everything. "Because we are protecting you," Commander Harper said finally. "Protecting us from what?" Cale asked. "From the things that live in the dark spaces between dimensions," Dr. Wells replied. "From the things that want to destroy everything you have built." Cale did not understand. "What things?" Commander Harper stood up. She walked to the crystal wall and placed her hand on it. The wall began to glow brighter. "Captain, do you know why the Omega Nebula is forbidden?" she asked. "Because it is dangerous," Cale replied. "The Federation has always said so." "The Federation does not know the real reason," Dr. Wells said. "They think it is dangerous because of radiation or unstable matter. But that is not the truth." "Then what is the truth?" Cale asked. "The truth is that the Omega Nebula is a thin place," Commander Harper said. "A place where our dimension touches other dimensions, darker dimensions. And sometimes things from those dark places try to come through." Cale felt his heart's beating faster. "What kind of things?" "Things that eat life," Dr. Wells said quietly. "Things that consume entire planets, entire star systems. We call them the Devourers." "That is impossible," Zara said. "Nothing can eat a planet." "These things can," Lieutenant Cross said. "They do not eat matter. They eat the idea of matter. They eat existence itself." The room went silent. Cale tried to understand what the humans were saying. It sounded like madness. But these beings had technology beyond anything the Federation possessed. If they said these things were real, maybe they were. How do you know about these devourers? Kale asked. Because we have been fighting them for 20,000 years. Commander Harper said, that is why we disappeared. We did not die out. We went into hiding, into the dark spaces between dimensions, to guard the barriers that keep the devourers out. You have been fighting for 20,000 years? Kale asked. How is that possible? Time moves differently in the dark spaces, Dr. Wells explained. For us, it has been about 200 years. For you, it has been 20,000. Kale's mind was spinning. This was all too much to understand. Why are you telling us this now? Commander Harper's face became grave. Because the barriers are weakening. The devourers are finding ways to break through. And we cannot stop them alone anymore. What do you mean? Kale asked. We mean that the galaxy is about to face its greatest threat, Dr. Wells said. And we need your help. Our help? Kale laughed. We are just miners. We dig crystals out of asteroids. What can we do against these devourers? More than you think, Commander Harper said. The Federation has grown strong. Your ships, your technology, your people. You have all become more than you were when we first started watching you. But we do not even know how to fight these things, Zara said. We will teach you, Lieutenant. Cross said, we will share our technology, our knowledge. But first, you need to understand what we are facing. Dr. Wells touched a device on her wrist. The room filled with light. Images appeared in the air. Kale saw stars being consumed by darkness, planets turning to nothing, entire solar systems disappearing. This is what the devourers do, she said. They do not just destroy, they make it. So things never existed at all. How do we fight something like that? Kale asked. With weapons that exist in multiple dimensions, Commander Harper said. With ships that can travel through the dark spaces. With technology that can make barriers between dimensions stronger. Do you have such technology? Kale asked. We do, Commander Harper said, but it is not enough. The devourers are getting stronger. They are finding new ways to break through. We need the combined forces of the entire galaxy. The Federation will never believe this, Kale said. They will have to, Dr. Wells said, because the first attacks will begin soon. Very soon. How soon? Kale asked. Days, maybe weeks, Commander Harper said. The barriers are failing. We have been able to patch them for now, but it will not last. Kale stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the massive human ship. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Just like the story the humans had told him. What do you want us to do? He asked. Come with us, Commander Harper said. Let us show you what we have built, what we have sacrificed. Then return to the Federation. Tell them what you have learned. Help us prepare for what is coming. And if they do not believe us? Kale asked. Then the galaxy will die, Dr. Wells said simply. And everything you have built will be as if it never existed at all. Kale looked at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for his decision. He thought about the mining mission they had been on. It seemed so small now, so unimportant. How long will this take? He asked. A few days, Commander Harper said. But it will be the most important days of your life. Kale made his decision. Very well. We will come with you. Commander Harper smiled. Thank you, Captain. You are about to see things that no one in the Federation has ever seen before. As the humans prepared to leave, Kale wondered what he had just agreed to. He was about to enter a world that had been hidden for 20,000 years. A world where humans had been fighting monsters in the dark spaces between dimensions. He hoped the Federation would believe him when he returned. Because if they did not, everything they had built would be destroyed. And this time, it would be as if it had never existed at all. The human ship was unlike anything Captain Cale Morvan had ever seen. As he walked through its corridors with Commander Harper, he felt like he was inside a living thing. The walls seemed to breathe. The lights pulsed like a heartbeat. "Your ship is alive," he said. "In a way, yes," Commander Harper replied. "We learned long ago that metal and circuits alone cannot survive in the dark spaces. So we created ships that are part machine, part living tissue. They can heal themselves. They can adapt." They walked into a large room filled with screens and controls. Humans worked at stations throughout the room, but they were different from the humans in the old history books. Their eyes glowed softly in the dim light. Their skin seemed to shimmer. "What happened to you?" Cale asked. 20,000 years in the dark spaces changes you," Dr. Wells said. She had been quiet during the tour, but now she spoke. "We had to adapt, to survive, to become something that could fight the Devourers." "You are no longer human?" Cale asked. "We are still human," Commander Harper said. "But we are more than we were. We had to become more." A man approached them. He was tall and strong, with silver hair and ancient eyes. "Captain Morvan," he said. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. Welcome to the Eternal Vigil. You are the captain of this ship?" Cale asked. "I am the commander of the human fleet," Jake replied. "I have been fighting the Devourers for 200 years. In your time, it has been 20,000. How is that possible?" Cale asked. "Time moves differently in the dark spaces." Jake explained. "What seems like days to us can be years in your dimension, or sometimes years for us can be minutes for you." They walked to a large window. Through it, Cale could see other ships, dozens of them, all as large as the Eternal Vigil, all pulsing with that strange, living light. "How many ships do you have?" Cale asked. 57, Jake replied. "Each one carries a crew of 5,000. We are all that remains of humanity." 300,000 people, Cale said. "That is all?" "It is enough," Jake said. "We have made ourselves enough." Dr. Wells led them to another room. This one was filled with displays showing the galaxy. But it was not the galaxy Cale knew. This one showed the dark spaces between dimensions, the places where the Devourers lived. "Show him the history," Jake told Dr. Wells. Dr. Wells touched a control. The room filled with light. Images appeared in the air. Cale saw the galaxy as it had been 20,000 years ago. He saw human ships exploring the stars. He saw them discovering new worlds. "We were young then," Dr. Wells said. "We thought we could explore anywhere, do anything. We were wrong." The images changed. Cale saw human scientists working on something, a machine that could open doorways between dimensions. "We built the first dimensional gateway," Dr. Wells continued. "We wanted to explore other realities, other universes. We thought it would be the greatest discovery in history." "What happened?" Cale asked. "We opened a door," Jake said, "and something came through. The images showed the first Devourer. It was impossible to describe. It was darkness given form. It was hunger made real. It touched a human ship, and the ship simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not broken, just gone, as if it had never been. We tried to fight it," Dr. Wells said, "but our weapons could not hurt it. Our shields could not stop it. It consumed 3 star systems before we understood what we were dealing with." "How did you stop it?" Cale asked. "We did not stop it," Jake said. "We trapped it. We built a cage of twisted space-time around it, but doing so cost us everything." The images showed human fleets gathering around the dimensional gateway. Cale saw ships diving into the dark spaces between dimensions. He saw them building barriers, walls of energy that kept the Devourers locked away. We had to abandon our dimension, Dr. Wells said. We had to become guardians of the barriers. We knew that if we failed, the Devourers would consume everything. All of humanity sacrificed itself to protect the galaxy? Kale asked. Not all, Jake said. Some wanted to run. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to let the other species deal with the problem. But in the end, we chose to do what was right. They walked to another part of the ship. This area was different. The walls were covered with names, thousands and thousands of names. These are the fallen, Commander Harper said. The humans who died fighting the Devourers. Every generation, we lose more. But we never stop fighting. Kale read some of the names. Ben Taylor, Susan Clark, Mike Johnson. Simple names for people who had made the ultimate sacrifice. Why did you not ask for help? Kale asked. Why did you not tell the other species what was happening? We tried, Jake said, but they did not believe us. They thought we were making excuses for abandoning our colonies. They thought we were cowards. So you let them think you were extinct, Kale said. It was better that way, Dr. Wells said. We knew that if the other species grew and thrived, they would eventually be strong enough to help us. We just had to wait. They entered a room where humans were working on strange devices. The devices glowed with the same light as the ships. Hull, these are dimensional anchors, Commander Harper explained. They strengthen the barriers between dimensions. Each one requires a piece of human consciousness to operate. What do you mean? Kale asked. A human must bond with each anchor, Jake said. They become part of the barrier. They can never leave. They can never return to normal space. And people volunteer for this? Kale asked. Every day, Jake said. We all know what will happen if we fail. Kale was beginning to understand the scope of what the humans had done. They had not just hidden from the galaxy. They had become its guardians. They had given up everything to protect species that did not even know they existed. How long can you keep this up? Kale asked. Not much longer, Jake said. The barriers are weakening. The Devourers are finding new ways to break through. We need help. What kind of help? Kale asked. We need ships, Commander Harper said. Ships that can travel in the dark spaces. We need weapons that can hurt the Devourers. We need people who are willing to fight. But most of all, Dr. Wells said, we need the galaxy to understand what it is facing. They walked back to the main viewing room. Through the windows, Kale could see the Omega Nebula. But now he saw it differently. It was not just a cloud of gas and dust. It was a battlefield. A place where humans had been fighting for 20,000 years. The first breakthrough will happen soon, Jake said. We have detected weak points in the barriers. The Devourers are testing them. Where? Kale asked. Near the Vorthic home system, Jake replied. They will attack there first. Kale felt his crystal skin grow cold. The Vorthak were one of the most powerful species in the Federation. If they Yago, Devourers could destroy them. They could destroy anyone. We must warn them, Kale said. We will, Jake said. But they will not believe us. Just like the other species did not believe us 20,000 years ago. Then we must make them believe, Kale said. How? Commander Harper asked. By showing them what you have shown me, Kale said. By bringing them here. By making them understand what you have sacrificed. Jake shook his head. It is too dangerous. If the Federation sends ships here, the Devourers will sense them. They will attack. Then what do we do? Kale asked. We prepare for war, Jake said. We gather every ship we can. We build new weapons. We train new fighters. And we hope it will be enough. Dr. Wells led Kale to a small room. Inside was a device that looked like a chair surrounded by crystals. This is a memory recorder, she said. It will store everything you have seen and heard. When you return to the Federation, you can show them the truth. Will they believe a memory recording? Cale asked. They will have to, Dr. Wells said, because the alternative is the end of everything. Cale sat in the chair. The crystals began to glow. He felt a strange sensation, like someone was looking through his memories. It is done, Dr. Wells said. The recording is complete. As they prepared to return to the Starlight Beacon, Jake took Cale aside. Captain, he said, I need you to understand something. What we have shown you is only the beginning. The real war is still to come. I understand, Cale said. Do you? Jake asked. Because when the Devourers break through, they will not just destroy your ships. They will not just kill your people. They will make it so your entire species never existed. As if the Zephyrians were never born. Cale felt a chill run through his entire body. How do we fight something like that? By being willing to sacrifice everything, Jake said. Just like we did. As the shuttle carried them back to the Starlight Beacon, Cale looked back at the human fleet. 57 ships. 300,000 people. All that remained of a species that had once explored the stars. They had given up everything to protect the galaxy. And now, the galaxy would have to decide if it was willing to do the same. The war was coming. The question was whether the Federation would be ready for it. The Federation Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from a dozen species argued loudly. Some believed Captain Cale Morven's story. Others called it impossible. The memory recording played on the main screen, showing the human fleet and their war against the Devourers. This is madness, said Admiral Zextar of the Vorthik. His large, purple head pulsed with anger. Humans have been extinct for 20,000 years. Everyone knows this. The evidence is right there, Cale replied, pointing at the screen. I have seen their ships. I have spoken with their leaders. They are real. Memory recordings can be faked, said Council Prime Nexus Unit 7. The mechanical being's voice was cold and logical. This could be an elaborate deception. Why would I lie about this? Cale asked. What would I gain? That is what we must determine. Admiral Zextar sighed. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Emergency lights flashed red. The main screen switched to show a tactical display of the galaxy. We have a problem, announced the chamber's AI. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy disturbances in the Vorthik home system. Admiral. Zextar's skin turned pale. What kind of disturbances? Unknown, sir, but they are unlike anything in our databases. Cale felt his crystal skin grow cold. This was what Captain Norrison had warned about. The first breakthrough was happening. We need to evacuate the system, Cale said urgently. Based on what? Admiral Zextar demanded. Some story about invisible monsters? Based on 20,000 years of human sacrifice, Cale replied. They warned us this would happen. On the human ship Eternal Vigil, alarms were also sounding. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the command center, watching as his instruments showed the dimensional barriers failing. How long do we have? He asked. Hours. At most, replied Chief Engineer Paul Baker. The barriers around the Vorthik system are collapsing. Send a message to all ships, Jake ordered. Full alert. Prepare for dimensional jump. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Mitchell approached the captain. Sir, our forces are spread too thin. We cannot protect every system. We protect what we can, Jake said. And we pray it is enough. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigil, Commander Lisa Harper was working with Dr. Amanda Wells to coordinate the defense. Their screens showed the galaxy from the perspective of the dark spaces between dimensions. The first breach is opening, Dr. Wells reported. I can see them massing on the other side. How many? Lisa asked. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Lisa felt a chill run through her enhanced human physiology. In 200 years of fighting, she had never seen so many devourers in one place. All ships, this is Commander Harper, she announced over the communication system. The enemy is about to break through. Remember your training. Remember why we fight. In the Federation Council chamber, the tactical display suddenly showed something impossible. Ships were appearing in the Vorthix system. Ships that had not been there moments before. Where did those ships come from? Admiral Zexstar demanded. They appear to be the human vessels from Captain Morven's report, the AI replied. That is impossible, Council Prime Nexus Unit 7 stated. No ships can travel that fast. They are not traveling through normal space, Kale explained. They are moving through the dark spaces between dimensions. The screen showed the human fleet, taking position around the Vorthix home world. 57 massive ships, glowing with that strange, living light. Incoming transmission, the AI announced. The screen changed to show Captain Morrison's face. He looked tired and grim. Federation Council, he said. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Defense Fleet. We are here to protect the Vorthix system from an imminent threat. What threat? Admiral Zexstar asked. The Devourers, Jake replied. They are about to break through the dimensional barriers. You have perhaps an hour before they arrive. You expect us to believe in monsters from another dimension? Admiral Zexstar asked. I expect you to evacuate your people, Jake said. Because if you do not, they will all die. Before anyone could respond, the space around the Vorthix homeworld began to change. Reality itself seemed to ripple and tear. Dark shapes began to emerge from the tears. What is that? Admiral Zexstar whispered. That, Jake said, is what we have been fighting for 20,000 years. The first devourer emerged from the dimensional tier. It was impossible to describe. It was darkness given form. It was hunger made real. It moved toward the nearest Vorthix ship. All ships, open fire, Jake ordered. The human fleet opened fire, with weapons that seemed to bend space itself. Beams of twisted light struck the devourer. It screamed, a sound that was felt rather than heard. Our weapons are having some effect, reported Major Beth Turner from the ship Dimensional Guardian. But it is not enough. More devourers were emerging from the tiers in space. They moved toward the Vorthix ships with terrible purpose. Federation. Vessels, you must evacuate immediately, Jake warned. Your weapons cannot hurt these things. We will not abandon our home, Admiral Zexstar declared. All Vorthix ships, attack formation. The Vorthix fleet opened fire with their most powerful weapons. The energy beams struck the devourers and passed right through them. The creatures were not even slowed down. It is not working, one of the Vorthix captains reported. Our weapons have no effect, because they do not exist in the same dimension as you, Jake explained. Only weapons that can strike across multiple dimensions can hurt them. One of the devourers reached a Vorthix ship. It touched the hull, and the ship simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, not broken, just gone, as if it had never been built. By the great mind, Admiral Zexstar gasped. What happened to that ship? It was consumed, Jake said. The devourer did not just destroy it. It erased it from existence. The Federation Council chamber erupted in panic. Representatives from every species began shouting demands and questions. But Kale could only stare at the screen, watching as more Vorthix ships simply vanished. We have to help them, he said. How? Asked Council Prime Nexus Unit 7. Our weapons cannot touch these things. The humans can teach us, Kale said. They have been fighting these creatures for 20,000 years. They know how to hurt them. On the Eternal Vigil, the battle was not going well. The human fleet was outnumbered 10 to 1. Their weapons were effective, but they could not be everywhere at once. "We are losing ships," reported Sergeant Danny Lay from the engineering deck. "The barriers are failing faster than we can repair." "Them. Hold the line," Jake ordered. "We have to protect the civilian ships." The evacuation of the Vorthic system was underway. Thousands of ships were fleeing toward the outer rim of the galaxy, but the Devourers were following them. "They are spreading out," Dr. Wells reported. "They are not just attacking the military targets. They are going after everything." "That is what they do," Jake said. "They consume everything. They leave nothing behind." In the Federation Council chamber, the scope of the disaster was becoming clear. The Vorthic system was lost. Half of the Vorthic fleet was gone, and the Devourers were moving toward other systems. "We need to evacuate the entire sector," Kale said. "We cannot abandon that much territory," Admiral Zextar protested. "Would you rather abandon territory or watch your people cease to exist?" Kale asked. "The human is right," said Council Prime Nexus Unit 7. "We must adapt our strategy to face this new threat." "New threat?" Admiral Zextar asked. "These things have been fighting us for 20,000 years. We just did not know it." Back in the battle, the human fleet was taking heavy losses. The ship Eternal Guardian was destroyed, its crew of 5,000 simply erased from existence. The ship Dimensional Warrior was badly damaged, its living hull trying to heal itself. "We cannot hold them much longer," reported Captain Greg Turner from the ship Dimensional Guardian. "We need reinforcements." "There are no reinforcements," Jake replied. "We are all that stands between them and the galaxy." But then something unexpected happened. Federation ships began arriving in the system. Not just Vorthic ships, but vessels from every species in the Federation. They had come to help. "This is Captain Cale Morvan," came a transmission. "We are here to assist." "Your weapons cannot hurt them," Jake warned. "Then teach us to make weapons that can," Cale replied. Dr. Wells worked frantically at her console. "I can modify their weapons," she said. "But it will take time." "We do not have time," Jake said. "Then we buy time," Cale replied. "All Federation ships, defensive formation. Protect the human vessels while they work." The Federation fleet moved into position. They could not hurt the Devourers, but they could serve as shields for the human ships. It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. "Modifications complete," Dr. Wells reported. "Transmitting weapon upgrade data to all Federation vessels." One by one, the Federation ships began to glow with the same strange light as the human vessels. Their weapons were being transformed, given the ability to strike across multiple dimensions. "It is working," reported a Zephyrian captain. "My weapons are having an effect." The battle turned. With the combined fleets working together, they began to push the Devourers back. But the victory was costly. Dozens of ships from both fleets were lost. "The breach is closing," Dr. Wells reported. "The barriers are holding." "For now," Jake said. "But this was just the beginning. They will try again. And next time, they will be ready for us." As the surviving ships regrouped, Cale looked. 3 months after the first breach, the galaxy was at war. The Federation had mobilized every ship, every weapon, every soldier. But it was not enough. The Devourers were breaking through in dozens of places. Reality itself was coming apart at the seams. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the Eternal Vigil, looking at a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked the places where the barriers had failed. There were too many to count. "Status report," he said. "We have lost contact with the Nexus Collective Home System," reported Chief Engineer Paul Baker. "The entire sector has gone dark. The Zephyrian mining colonies are under attack," added Lieutenant Colonel Steve Mitchell. "They are requesting immediate assistance." We cannot be everywhere, Jake said. We have to choose which battles to fight. Commander Lisa Harper approached the captain. Sir, we have received a priority transmission from the Federation Council. They want to meet with you. Tell them I am busy, Jake replied. Sir, they are offering to surrender control of the entire Federation fleet to human command, Lisa said. Jake looked up from the tactical display. What? They want you to lead the defense of the galaxy, Lisa explained. They believe only humanity has the knowledge to fight the Devourers. Jake was quiet for a long moment. The weight of 20,000 years of war was on his shoulders. Now they wanted him to carry the weight of the entire galaxy. Tell them I will consider it, he said finally. On the Federation capital world, the council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from every species argued about strategy, about resources, about survival. But they all agreed on one thing. Humanity was their only hope. We have lost 12 star systems in the past week, reported Admiral Zexstar. Our conventional weapons are useless. Our ships are being destroyed faster than we can build them. The humans have been fighting these things for 20,000 years, said Council Prime Nexus Unit 7. We must follow their lead, but can we trust them? Asked a Zephyrian representative. They hid from us for millennia. How do we know they will not abandon us again? Captain Cale Morven stood up. In the months since the first breach, he had become the Federation's expert on humanity. He had spent weeks aboard human ships, learning their ways, understanding their sacrifice. Because, he said, humanity gave up everything to protect us. They became something more than human to guard the barriers. They could have fled to another galaxy long ago, but they stayed. They fought. They died. All to protect species that did not even know they existed. But what if they fail? Asked the Zephyrian representative. Then we all fail together, Cale replied. But at least we will fail knowing that we did everything we could. The vote was unanimous. The Federation fleet would be placed under human command. Jake Morrison would lead the defense of the galaxy. But Jake had other plans. He had been studying the Devourers for 200 years. He had learned their weaknesses, their patterns, their desires. And he had developed a plan that would either save the galaxy or destroy it completely. We cannot win a defensive war, he told the assembled Federation commanders. The Devourers are too numerous, too powerful. We have to take the fight to them. How? Asked Admiral Zexstar. By going into the dark spaces between dimensions, Jake said. By attacking their home dimension. That is suicide, protested a Nexus Collective commander. Maybe, Jake said, but it is the only way to end this war. The plan was simple in concept, impossible in execution. A combined fleet would enter the dark spaces and attack the Devourers in their home dimension. The attack would be led by the human ship Eternal Vigil, with Federation ships providing support. Only volunteer crews, Jake announced. This is a one-way mission. Anyone who goes into the dark spaces will not be coming back. To Jake's surprise, every ship in the fleet volunteered. Humans, Zephyrians, Vorthic, Nexus Collective beings, dozens of other species. They all wanted to fight. We have been running from these things for months, explained Captain Cale Morven. It is time to make a stand. The fleet gathered in the Omega Nebula, where the first human ship had emerged so long ago. Over 1,000 ships from every species in the galaxy. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. All ships, prepare for dimensional jump, Jake announced. The human ships went first, their living hulls glowing brighter as they entered the dark spaces. The Federation ships followed, their modified weapons, and shields allowing them to survive in the alien environment. The dark spaces were unlike anything the Federation crews had ever experienced. Reality worked differently here. Time moved in circles. Space folded in on itself. And everywhere, There were devourers. "Contact," reported Major Beth Turner from the ship Dimensional Guardian. "Thousands of them." "All ships, attack formation," Jake ordered. The battle began immediately. The devourers swarmed the fleet like insects. But this time, the galaxy was ready. The Federation ships had weapons that could hurt the creatures. They had shields that could protect against dimensional attacks. "We are making progress," reported Captain Greg Turner. "But there are too many of them." "Keep fighting," Jake replied. "We just need to reach the center." At the heart of the dark spaces was the source of the Devourer's power. A massive tier in reality itself, where the creatures were born. If they could seal it, the threat would end forever, but the cost was enormous. Ships disappeared one by one. Brave crews from every species sacrificed themselves to protect the others. The Federation fleet was being destroyed. "Sir," reported Dr. Amanda Wells, "we are losing too many ships. At this rate, we will not reach the center." "Then we go faster," Jake said. "All ships, maximum speed. Ignore the smaller enemies. We go straight for the source." The remaining ships formed a spearhead with the Eternal Vigil at the point. They blasted through the Devourer swarms, taking massive damage but never stopping. "There," Dr. Wells pointed at the main screen. "The source." Ahead of them was a sight that defied description. A wound in reality itself, bleeding darkness and hunger into the universe. From it came an endless stream of devourers, born from the void between dimensions. "How do we seal it?" asked Commander Lisa Harper. "With the ship's dimensional core," Jake said. "We detonate it inside the wound. The explosion will collapse the tier permanently. That will destroy the ship," Lisa said. "And everyone on it." "I know," Jake replied. "All non-essential personnel, evacuate to the other ships." "Sir," Lisa said, "we are not leaving you." "That is an order," Jake said. "With respect, sir," said Lieutenant Ryan Cross. "No, the bridge crew refused to leave. They had been fighting together for 200 years. They would not abandon their captain now." "Very well," Jake said. "Doctor." "Wells, begin the detonation sequence." As the Eternal Vigil approached the wound in reality, the remaining Federation ships formed a protective barrier around it. They fought off the Devourers, buying time for the human ship to complete its mission. "Detonation in 30 seconds, Dr. Wells announced. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison," Jake said over the communication system. "It has been an honor to fight beside you. Tell the galaxy that humanity kept its promise." 20 seconds. The Devourers seemed to sense what was happening. They swarmed toward the Eternal Vigil with desperate fury. But the Federation ships held the line. 10 seconds. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had given up everything for the galaxy. They had become something more than human to fight monsters in the dark. And now they were giving up their lives to save species they had never met. 5 seconds. "For humanity," Jake said. "For the galaxy," Lisa replied. The Eternal Vigil entered the wound in reality and detonated. The explosion was unlike anything ever seen. It was not just fire and energy. It was the destruction of possibility itself. The wound in reality collapsed, taking with it the source of the Devourers. The dark spaces shuddered. The remaining Devourers screamed as their connection to their home dimension was severed. One by one, they began to fade away, returning to the void from which they came. "It is over," reported Captain Cale Morvan from the Starlight Beacon. "The barriers are holding. The Devourers are gone." But the victory came at a terrible cost. The human fleet was destroyed. The Eternal Vigil was gone. Jake Morrison and his crew had made the ultimate sacrifice. The surviving Federation ships returned to normal space, carrying the news of humanity's final gift to the galaxy. The secret war was over. The Devourers were defeated. But the price had been enormous. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy mourned. Monuments were built to honor the fallen. The story of humanity's 20,000-year vigil was told on every world. Children learned about the species that had given up everything to protect them. But the humans were not entirely gone. In the depths of space, automated systems continued to function. Ships that had been damaged, but not destroyed, began to repair themselves. And in the dark spaces between dimensions, new barriers were being built. The watch continued. It always continued. Captain Cale Morvan stood in the Federation Council chamber, looking at a memorial wall dedicated to the human crews who had died in the final battle. Their names were inscribed in crystal, glowing softly in the dim light. "They saved us all," he said to Admiral Zextar, who stood beside him. "Yes," Admiral Zextar replied. "And now we must make sure their sacrifice was not in vain." "How do we do that?" Cale asked. "By being worthy of their sacrifice," Admiral Zextar said.